Breaking this morning, an overnight fire leaves a family displaced. We have the latest details.
And we have the highlights from last night's Democratic presidential debate, what you need to know.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now This Morning.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday, October 16th. I'm Josh Breider.
And I'm Susan Simon, filling in this week for Leah Linscheid. As you're just waking up and heading out the door, wow, does it feel raw outside? The wind is intense this morning. It makes it feel cold.
Yeah, no joke this morning. We have a strong wind across southern Wisconsin, and it's a northwesterly wind, so not a very warm wind at all. 44 here in Madison is our temperature, 42 in Juneau, down to 40 in the Dells, but Janesville's at 46 degrees. Overall, though, there's not a huge change in temperature across southern Wisconsin. Winds will be the main weather story through the day today. These are our sustained wind speeds currently. Again, 10 to 20 miles an hour, but they are gusting higher. Temperatures will only climb a few degrees back into the upper 40s with that strong northwesterly wind. It begins to diminish after 3 or 4 o'clock. Here's a look at your traffic maps this morning. Again, if you're driving a high-profile vehicle today especially, keep an eye on those winds. It'll be most impactful on east-west roads across the region. No main issues, though, right now on the Beltline or the interstate. Travel still going at posted speeds. And that's your first alert traffic.
Patty, thank you very much. We have breaking news overnight into the Channel 3000 Alert Center. Madison police are looking for 2 teenagers who they say beat and stole from a father in front of his 14-year-old daughter on the city's west side. It happened just before 10 last night in the parking lot outside Burlington Coat Factory on Odana Road. Police say the father was headed inside the store to pay for items on layaway when 2 people jumped out and confronted him before showing a gun and stealing cash, breaking his glasses and ripping his coat in the process. The suspects ran off in the direction of Joann Fabrics. Anyone with information is asked to call the police or Crime Stoppers. Also breaking overnight, an Edgerton family is waking up somewhere else this morning after a fire broke out.
The good news is that all family members and all of the pets managed to get out safely, but we're told there is extensive smoke damage throughout the entire home. Crews got the call just after 10 last night and found a fire in the laundry room. The fire was put out quickly, but had parts of Highway 59 closed for more than an hour. The family will be displaced while the damage is cleaned up, and they are staying with relatives. Clinton police are still looking this morning for 2 men who they say stabbed an 18-year-old on Monday. Police say it happened at the Village Terrace mobile home park. 2 masked men allegedly broke into a home and stabbed the man repeatedly. Police believe it was a targeted attack and that the public is not in any danger. They still have not arrested any suspects, so if you have any information, please call police.
Right now, 1 in 4 undergraduate women at UW-Madison say they've been sexually assaulted. The 2019 Association of American Universities Campus Climate Survey shows 26% of female undergrads report being sexually assaulted. This is not significantly different than the findings from the 2015 survey. The numbers at UW's campus are higher than the national average, where 1 in 5 undergraduate women report being sexually assaulted. Now the university says they're taking action by planning to add more staff positions to the Title IX program and University Health Services. Leaders there are also inviting students and staff to give feedback at 3 forums in November.
To say that 1 in 4 students could go through this experience, or especially 1 in 4 women, is horrific. 1 case is too many. And I think that's a really important statement. It doesn't matter how high the numbers are or how low the numbers are. 1 case is way too many for us.
60% of assaults on women happened on campus, and about 1/4 of the assaults happened at non-university residential housing. The next most common locations were residence halls and fraternities.
In just a few hours, day 3 of the trial for a Portage County man accused of killing his wife and hiding her body will begin. Jason Cipher's wife, Krista, was last seen in March of 2017. Almost a year and a half later, Cipher was arrested and charged with her murder. In court yesterday, more than a dozen witnesses testified. Police say GPS information shows Cipher's car was at a gas station near a dumpster in Plover, where they later found a bag of evidence. Surveillance video confirms that Cipher's car was there. Video interviews from the FBI of Krista's daughters were played for the jury. Krista's body has not been found. Candidates are hoping to improve their polling numbers following last night's Democratic presidential debate in Ohio.
12 candidates discussed things like health care, gun control, and reproductive rights. Senator Elizabeth Warren has been rising in the polls and took heat from many of the candidates. The pylon reinforced her new status as a frontrunner in the contest to take on President Trump next year. We now know that 3 of the 4 squad members are endorsing Senator Bernie Sanders for president, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Sanders says despite the heart attack, he's ready for a vigorous campaign.
And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm so happy to be back here with you this evening.
The night's confrontations were mostly fought over familiar topics for Democrats who have spent months fighting over the future of health care, with moderates pressing for a measured approach, while Warren and Sanders are calling for a government-funded overhaul. Warren refused to say whether she would raise taxes on the middle class to pay for Medicare for all. Despite the disagreement, all of the candidates supported the impeachment proceedings against the president.
Meanwhile, congressional Democrats say they're deciding against holding a full vote on an impeachment inquiry. They met last night to decide whether to hold that formal vote. President Trump's allies claim without one, the impeachment inquiry is invalid. But House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says a vote is unnecessary because the Constitution doesn't require it.
Right now, Vice President Mike Pence and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo are heading to Turkey in hopes of negotiating a ceasefire deal. That could be tricky, as the leader of Turkey told President Trump last night he will never declare a ceasefire, even as sanctions are being launched against Turkey. Turkey invaded northern Syria last week to flush out America's Kurdish allies after President Trump ordered U.S. troops to leave the area. And as U.S. troops leave, Russian troops are sweeping in to fill the void. The result has been hundreds of deaths and the unfolding of a humanitarian crisis.
And since Vice President Pence will be in Turkey, it means that he will not be coming to Wisconsin this week. He was scheduled to visit Pleasant Prairie tomorrow to talk about the president's trade agreement with Mexico and Canada. A White House official says they're working to reschedule the Wisconsin visit.
More local news now from the state capitol, where Republicans are starting a push to limit the governor's veto powers with a hearing on a proposed constitutional amendment. The amendment would stop Governor Evers from being able to issue partial vetoes to increase spending. Right now, the governor is able to strike words, numbers, and punctuation in spending bills. The governor used that power to give public schools $65 million more than GOP lawmakers had approved. The amendment needs to be passed in consecutive legislative sessions and a statewide referendum. That process was started by the Senate's Government Oversight Committee yesterday.
The father of a Sandy Hook victim will get $450,000 after he sued a local conspiracy theorist for emotional distress. Lenny Posner, who lost his 6-year-old son Noah in the Sandy Hook massacre nearly 7 years ago, says James Fetzer's book, Nobody Died at Sandy Hook, has caused him to receive threats and is defamatory. Fetzer's attorneys say he didn't intend to incite violence or encourage anyone to threaten Posner.
Dane County Executive Joe Parisi is planning to buy more than 80 acres in North Dane County as a way to mitigate flood damage. A resolution will go before the county board later this week to buy land from the Cook family in the town of Vienna. The 82-acre plot hasn't been farmable since heavy flooding about 10 years ago. Parisi set aside $3 million in his 2020 budget for land purchases through creation of a flood risk reduction fund.
It is 6:09 right now, and in more local news this morning, an exhibit is putting a new spin on the term environmental art.
It's at the Chazen Art Museum, and that is where we find our Keely Arthur this morning to explain. Hi, Keely.
Hi, Susan and Josh. Yeah, when we think of art, you probably think of things like paint, clay, maybe to make it, but not really plastic. Well, that's what an exhibit is using here. It's inside the Chazen right behind me. Now, this exhibit is called Plastic Entanglements. The director says not all of the pieces are made out of plastic. Many of them are, however, and they all are meant to make you think about how you use plastic in your everyday life. The exhibit is also encouraging local students to think too. Thanks to a grant from environmental groups, all bus transportation is free for local schools and community groups who all get to see different artists' interpretations of this topic.
Some of those things are really negative. Some of them that you see in the exhibition involve understanding how much we discard on a daily basis that takes, in some cases, thousands of years to break down.
On the flip side, some of the exhibits show plastic in a positive way. For example, how it's used in hospitals and other medical applications to help save lives. Now, this is a traveling exhibit, and this is its last stop. You have from now until January 5th to take advantage of it. Back to you two.
It's very interesting, and it's a perfect day to be inside a nice, warm art museum to check it out. Kelly Arthur reporting live for us. Yeah, Kelly, thank you.
Right now it is 6:10, and a workforce housing development is coming to the West Metro area. The project was given the final go-ahead from the city of Middleton. The project developer, Anthony Gray, has big plans for the addition, which will be right across the street from Willie Street Co-op on University Avenue. It's a planned 3-story, 39-unit apartment building with more than half of units classified as affordable housing. Beyond that, Gray says he's striving for social justice, making people of color a big part of that process. He says as far as he knows, he's one of the only African-American developers in the area.
It's really good to be in this position, and I'm hopeful, notwithstanding the difficulties we've faced, that it'll inspire other people of color to engage, to take that plunge, to take the risk of stabilizing their own communities.
I think that being the good neighbor city, we can live up to that and be proud of the new development. And also, I want anyone who lives at the Addy to take pride in the neighborhood.
Gray says he hopes to get construction started on the lot as soon as possible.
It's 6:11 right now. Still ahead on News 3 this morning. New concerns over banning vaping arise. Why one state is thinking about reversing that decision next.
But first, it is a rather blustery morning, to say the least, outside. Susan, a little extra hairspray today?
A little liquid helmet is what we call it.
Look at that.
Are those Christmas lights?
So I think that's downtown, right by the university, where they keep it lit all year round.
All right.
We love Christmas.
We do, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Patty's got your chilly forecast when we come back.
This
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. It is very windy outside this morning, and it's a northwesterly wind, so not a very warm one. At least it's a dry start to the day, though. We've had a few light showers and sprinkles over the last 24 hours, but generally for our viewing area, amounts are pretty light. They did have slightly higher amounts, up to around ½ an inch, as you headed up towards Green Bay and northeastern Wisconsin. But for southern Wisconsin, just some sprinkles and very light showers. Now, all that rain activity has come to an end, and things are pretty quiet out to the west, so we're going to stay dry for the rest of the week. Now, sunshine might be a little bit harder to come by today. There are some holes in the cloud cover through northwestern Wisconsin, but overall, it's a pretty cloudy scenario across the upper Midwest today. And with cold air in place, we're not going to see a whole lot of clearing. Our temperatures are pretty similar as well. Low to mid 40s in most spots this morning. Let's take a closer look at southern Wisconsin to show you that temperatures are generally in the 40s. It's coldest in the Dells, where it's 40 degrees right now, 42 in Juneau, 44 here in Madison, and 46 in Janesville. You have to factor in the wind today, though. Northwesterly winds gusting up to around 30 miles an hour at times, sending those wind chills down into the 30s. And in fact, across the state, we're seeing wind chills in the 30s this morning. So bundle up. Your wind speed future track map shows you that it's not really going to get much better through the day. We're seeing strong winds from the northwest even into the afternoon. Now, after 3 or 4 o'clock, the wind should begin to die down a little bit, and it's definitely not going to be as windy tonight. Future track forecast model, if you're looking for some clearing, it's not going to happen this morning, but there may be some peaks of sunshine this afternoon before some more significant clearing takes place overnight tonight. Temperatures will top in the upper 40s, but then drop back into the mid 30s by tomorrow morning. Could be kind of a frosty start for southern Wisconsin with temperatures down in the mid 30s. That extended forecast, though, calls for very quiet weather conditions on Thursday and Friday. Temperatures will warm back into the 60s for Friday, and then for the upcoming weekend, we have highs in the 60s. Just a chance for some rain on Saturday. Daytime hours on Sunday still look dry. Should be a pretty nice day. We have a better chance for some rain coming Sunday night into Monday. May even hear some rumbles of thunder as well. Temperatures then cool down once again as we head into next week. Let's get a look at your traffic report this morning with Jason Stone. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. No trouble getting to and on the belt line, and all lanes are moving at the posted speed limit. No major issues on Verona Road as of right now. Routes into Madison and around Dane County are clear for travel this morning. And commuters are slowly making their way downtown. Traffic is tolerable on the Isthmus and campus at this time. With your First Alert traffic, I'm Jason Stone.
Jason and Hattie, thank you both very much. New information this morning as Michigan's flavored e-cigarette ban is being put on hold. A judge says the ban might force adults to return to smoking tobacco products and hurt the vaping business. The state's governor says she will appeal the decision and wants the state's Supreme Court to issue a quick and final ruling on the dispute.
New this morning, Wisconsin's first prevention research center is coming to UW-Madison thanks to a 5-year, $3.7 million grant from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. UW-Madison is one of only 25 academic institutions to get the funding. The university says the center's mission will be to improve the health of low-income women, infants, and families in our state. In Wisconsin, the infant mortality rate for African-American babies is nearly 3 times that of white babies. The goal will be to study how communities and individuals can avoid risk for chronic illness.
Ladies, if you're not pregnant but are looking to become a mom soon, a certain surgery could improve your birth outcomes. Researchers in Sweden found that mothers who had gastric bypass surgery before becoming pregnant could be less likely to have kids with birth defects than untreated obese women. It found that weight loss and improved blood sugar control could actually cut birth defect risk by 30%. All right, almost 20 minutes past 6 o'clock right now, and still ahead for us on a Wednesday morning, the city of Madison is taking new steps to help put an end to racism. We'll tell you how.
And you're definitely going to want a jacket this morning, especially for the kids at the bus stop. The heavy coat,
yes,
and a hat and mittens and the full regalia.
The whole thing.
Yeah, it's a windy Wednesday and it's very cold this morning. Hattie will have the bus stop forecast when we come back.
Cobra's
6:23 on a Wednesday morning. No frost on the pumpkin this morning, but it is sure cold outside.
It is so windy, but you look so good, Hattie. Every hair is in place. If you want to see how windy it is, send me out there.
Just go back to the weather office. It reeks of hairspray right now. Don't tell Canolti. Okay. Doesn't like it when I spray hairspray in the weather office, but boy, you need it today. It is definitely a windy start, but Josh is right. Temperatures in the 40s. Pumpkins look good. They're not bothered by the wind at all, but you may be today. Those winds are gusting pretty high. They're sustained around 14 miles an hour. We have cloudy skies here in Madison. It's 44 degrees. Let's take a look at those temperatures across the region. 40 in the Dells, 45 in Lone Rock, Prairie du Chien, and Platteville. You're the same as we are here in Madison. Winds, though, are gusty. Here's a look at those current wind gusts. Winds gusting to almost 30 miles an hour in Juneau, 26-mile-an-hour wind gusts in Madison, and again, near 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts in Platteville. So it is quite windy outside. That takes those 40s and sends them back into the 30s. It feels like 34 in the Dells, feels like 36 in Mineral Point, 37 here in Madison. So as you send the kids to the bus stop, it's going to be a chilly day today. Temperatures are in the 40s this morning. That's where we're going to stay. May see a little bit of sunshine, but it'll stay windy right through the afternoon with highs only a couple of degrees warmer than we are right now. Have a wonderful Wednesday.
Hattie, thank you very much. A Fond du Lac woman says she was fired from her job at a restaurant for refusing to serve a couple making transphobic comments about a woman sitting at the bar. Brittany Spencer worked as a server at Fat Joe's Bar and Grill. She says she went to her manager to ask if someone else could serve the couple, but was told her to do her job or go home, so she chose to leave. Spencer posted about the incident on Facebook and then was told that she was fired.
She decided she wanted to post stuff on Facebook about being sent home, and we just made a business decision that we can't have employees that aren't going to make us look good as an establishment either.
And I don't want anybody to be harassed, but they need to be made aware that what they did was not okay.
Now, Brittany told people on Facebook that if they thought her being told to go home was wrong, to go leave a review on their Facebook page, which led to Fat Joe's deleting their page altogether.
The city of Madison is declaring racism a public health crisis. The city signed onto the statewide resolution yesterday. There is no new programming or funding with this move, but community leaders who run programs for youth and people of color in Madison say this is a good step for the city to take, not just because of systemic issues and policy, but the effects the culture can have too.
It's now been proven that the stress caused by the pressures of racism is a leading indicator of health disparities of African Americans. And so we now know that because of stress, we African Americans are contracting diseases faster than our white counterparts and then dying sooner.
As of last week, 32 organizations had signed on. Other notable groups are the UW School of Medicine and Public Health, UW Health, SSM Health, St. Mary's, and Public Health Madison, Dane County.
Coming up on 627 right now and still ahead for us, we've got the top 3 things you need to know this morning before you head out the door.
And our Kelly Arthur will show us how students are being taught about recycling in a rather artful way. Stick with us. You're watching News 3 Now this morning. It's 6:27. We'll be right back.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now This Morning.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning. It's October 16th. I'm Susan Simon, filling in for Leah Linshine.
And I'm Josh Spreiter. We'll get an update on Hattie's forecast in a moment, but first, the top 3 things you need to know this morning. Turkey's president is rejecting a White House call to end the fighting in northern Syria. Last week, the Turkish military launched an offensive against the region's Kurdish population shortly after President Trump ordered U.S. troops to withdraw from the area. Vice President Mike Pence is heading to Turkey today to try to convince them to agree to a ceasefire.
President Trump is tweeting this morning saying there is no way anyone on the stage at last night's presidential debate could become president. It was the largest debate in modern history with 12 leading candidates. They discussed how they solve problems like health care, income inequality, and opioid abuse, though each one of them said they support the impeachment inquiry into the president.
Congressional Democrats are opting not to hold a full vote on an impeachment inquiry. Some of the president's allies have said that without one, the inquiry isn't valid, but House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says a vote is unnecessary because the Constitution doesn't require it.
Those are the top 3 things you need to know as you head out the door this Wednesday morning. And maybe at the top of that list is the weather, because wind is the big story this morning.
You're right, Susan. Good morning, Susan and Josh. We've had pretty strong winds all night. Maybe you're hearing them outside your house this morning. No issues with fog this morning. I guess that's the good news. We do have a lot of clouds, though, across southern Wisconsin. To the north, you'll see those clouds are breaking up just a little bit, so there's a potential for a bit of sunshine through the day today, but clouds will generally be the rule. Temperatures are in the mid to low 40s across southern Wisconsin this morning, but that northwest wind makes it feel like it's in the 30s. So as you head out the door, keep in mind, it's blustery today. Temperatures are only going to climb a few degrees to a high of 47. Those winds will stay strong right into the afternoon. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps this morning. No major issues on the Beltline right now or in the downtown areas. Looking at drive times into Madison, you may add an extra minute or 2 right now as you head northbound on Verona Road towards the Beltline. And that's your first alert traffic.
All right, Hattie, thank you. More local news now. An exhibit is putting a new spin on the term environmental art.
Yeah, it's over at the Chazen, and that's exactly where we find our Keely Arthur this morning, out in the wind. You got the hair back now, Keely. How's it going out there?
Yeah, the hair is staying put for now, at least. I am certainly going to want to schedule more live shots inside. If you want to schedule some fun activities, I have one for you. We're talking about an art exhibit that is using plastic as its medium. It's all inside the Chazen's doors. The exhibit is called Plastic Entanglements. Now, the director of the Chazen says not all of the pieces are made out of plastic, although many are. However, all of them encourage you to think about how you use plastic in your everyday life. And the exhibit is also encouraging local students to think too. Thanks to a grant from environmental groups, all bus transportation is free for local schools and community groups who all get to see artists' different interpretations of the environment.
One of the things that it has made me do is think a lot about packaging, about when I am in a store or when I am looking at a product, and really becoming very, very conscious of how much packaging is plastic that we just don't even think about.
While some of the exhibits are a bit negative, on the flip side, some show plastic in a positive way. For example, how it's used in hospitals and other medical applications to help save lives. Now, this is a touring group. This is the last stop they're going to make, and you're going to want to check it out. It's open from now through January 5th. Josh and Susan?
All right, Keely, head back to the van. You're good now. Keely Arthur live in downtown.
Good, I'm running back.
Thanks, Keely.
Okay.
Thank you, Keely. Seniors at D.C. Everest High School near Wausau are leaving a unique gift behind for other students. As part of a $60 million referendum that voters approved in April, they are building part of their own school. The students in the construction trades course already built a home for Habitat for Humanity each year, but this year they're also learning how to build a commercial space. Findorf is overseeing the project, and the architects there are volunteering their time to show the students the ropes.
They remind me of myself when I was young, you know, to see them come out here and they know a little and we can teach them some, and it's kind of an adventure.
With the referendum, I like that we got to help build part of the stuff and work on it because it really makes us feel part of building part of the school.
The seniors say they're excited to see the finished product. The next crop of students will be able to learn in an even nicer environment. The building will have new classrooms and should be open by next year. It is 6:35 right now. Coming up in the morning sprint, we have the latest on the General Motors strike as it hits the 1-month mark.
And the Badgers are feeling the love this week from top sports analysts. We'll tell you why when News 3 Now This Morning returns.
This is
Well, we're missing Leah this week and thinking about her, and so are all of our viewers. Lena emailed me this picture yesterday.
This is incredible.
Where people share their morning each morning. This is the view. She called it a ray of hope on Lake Monona. She took the picture from Madison looking over Lake Monona, and she said it made her think of Leah.
I feel like this is exactly what we needed to see and hear on a week like this.
I agree. Peaceful, beautiful picture. Lena, thank you so much. And if you have a picture you'd like to share with us, email it and we'll show it tomorrow morning.
Our favorite part.
The Badgers are getting a lot of love from analysts this week.
Yeah, ESPN's David Pollock is giving Wisconsin a perfect A+ grade on the season so far. The only other team to get this high of a mark is Ohio State. We still have 2 weeks until that midday game between the Badgers and Buckeyes, but first the Badgers are getting their first conference road test this weekend at Illinois. Head coach Lovie Smith expects a tough battle in the trenches and says they've got an eye on who else but Jonathan Taylor.
I mean, he's arguably the best player in college football. He's an excellent run in between the tackles. He has size. He can hit you with power. He's faster than most people. He's on their track team. And it seems like Wisconsin, I mean, they lost a lot of offensive linemen from last year's team, but it seemed like there's another big guy that kind of comes in. It's a good challenge. You have to be sound. You have to first like contact. We know what we're going to see. It's not going to be a finesse game this week. Need a big boy pads on, and that's what we plan on putting on.
Lots of love from Lovey this morning.
High praise, but keep your paws off Jonathan Taylor. He's
Seriously,
ours.
we're looking forward to that game. All right, still ahead for us right now. Hattie has a look at a cooler forecast for your Wednesday. You're going to want to have a lot of hairspray, all the layers today. It is going to be a little ridiculously cold outside, but we've got a warm up on the way for the weekend. Her extended forecast coming right up.
But first, today is October 16th. We want to say happy birthday to Rowan. What a buddy. Oh. Cute buddy. And all the kids who are turning 3 today. Happy birthday, everybody. Thanks for celebrating with us on News 3 Now this morning. We'll be right back. Boy, isn't that a pretty shot on campus?
That is gorgeous.
We've been talking about the wind all morning long, and that kind of puts it in perspective for you. Blowing in the breeze there. Those lights hanging on the trees. You got to nail down the pumpkins. Hopefully it's not garbage day in your neighborhood.
Oh, man.
It's blustery outside.
Yeah, and Hads is happy to be inside now, even though she's got all the hairspray she needs over there this morning.
Yeah, you need extra hairspray on a day like today. It is pretty windy outside, but at least we're talking dry weather. We did have a few light showers yesterday, but you can see from the 24-hour precipitation estimates, barely measurable for our viewing area. There were higher amounts to the north and east, but the rain is done. So far for the month, though, it's been a pretty wet month. We have half of the month of November in the books. We started out on a very wet note, so that really bumped the totals up to almost 4.5 inches so far of rain this month. The average is 2.4, so we're well above that as far as precipitation is concerned. It's a different story temperature-wise. We did have a mild week last week with temperatures above normal all week, but so far this week we've been a little bit cooler than normal, so averaging out to near normal. The monthly temperature departure just about a half a degree above normal so far for the month of October. We're definitely going to continue that cool trend though over the next couple of days. Take a look at the fall color report. Some of those cooler temperatures really helping the leaves to turn color. Even here in southern Wisconsin, we're starting to see some good color in Dane County. As you head up towards Baraboo, I've heard that it's very pretty right now. Parts of northern Wisconsin, especially northwest Wisconsin, at peak. It is past peak, though, for the north central part of the state. Now, let's hope that those leaves stay on the trees today with strong winds across the area. It's a squeeze play between high pressure building in from the west, low pressure system exiting to the east. So in between, those northwest winds are really funneling down through Wisconsin and the upper Midwest today. They're sustained around 15 to 25 miles an hour. Current temperatures with cloud cover still in the 40s in Minneapolis and Des Moines. Here in Madison, we're at 44 as well. A little bit cooler to the west. Temperatures, though, for us generally in the 40s this morning. Wind gusts, though, in the 30-mile-an-hour range. These are current wind gusts, 32 miles an hour in Madison, 31-mile-an-hour wind gusts in Janesville, 33-mile-an-hour wind gust in Lone Rock. So it is very windy this morning. Your future track wind speed forecast shows you that the winds are going to stay strong. These are sustained wind speeds around 20 miles an hour through the morning, right into the afternoon. As we head into tonight and tomorrow, the winds are expected to be much lighter. Here's a look at your future track forecast model. Mostly cloudy skies and windy conditions this morning. Temperatures are going to struggle to climb today. 45 by lunchtime, just a couple degrees warmer than that this afternoon, 47. There may be a little bit of sunshine possible, but overall, the real clearing isn't expected to take place until overnight tonight. Here's a look at your extended forecast then. We have temperatures dropping to 35. There is the potential for some frost overnight tonight. 55 though tomorrow with mostly sunny skies and lighter winds. 62 on Friday. Here's Tony in Oxford getting ready for Halloween.
Oh, that's
deserves
so
a treat for that.
We all deserve treats on a morning like this, especially.
It's not really, the temperature-wise, it's not cold outside, but with the wind, it
the
really
wind is
feels like
relentless.
It.
It just doesn't let up.
Yeah.
So you need to bundle up today.
All right, very good. Tony has to hang on to those little ears, headband. Thanks, Hattie.
The morning sprint is up next, but first here's Gail King with what's ahead on CBS This Morning. Hi, Gail.
Good morning to you. Ahead and only on CBS This Morning, the parents of a British teenager killed by an American in a traffic accident tell us why they felt ambushed during their meeting with President Trump. Plus, CBS News investigates hormone therapy clinics, how a treatment advertised as a fountain of youth could be harmful, and why one patient calls it just a scam. And actor Paul Rudd is here in Studio 57 today. We'll see you 7 o'clock on the dot.
6:51, time for the morning sprint as we get your day started with more local news.
And we start with breaking news overnight. An Edgerton family is waking up somewhere else this morning after an overnight house fire. Luckily, all of the family members and all of the pets managed to get out safely, but there is extensive smoke damage throughout the entire home. Crews got the call just after 10 last night and found a fire in the laundry room. The fire was put out quickly, but had parts of Highway 59 closed for more than an hour.
Also breaking overnight, Madison police are looking for two teenagers who they say beat and stole from a father in front of his 14-year-old daughter on the city's west side. It happened just before 10 last night in the parking lot outside Burlington Coat Factory on Odana Road. Police say the suspects had a gun and took the man's cash while also damaging his clothing.
Clinton police are still looking for two men who they say stabbed an 18-year-old on Monday. Police say it happened at the Village Terrace mobile home park. Two masked men allegedly broke into a home and stabbed the man repeatedly. Police believe it was a targeted attack and that the public is not in any danger.
The trial continues today for a Portage County man accused of killing his wife almost a year and a half after his wife was last seen. Jason Cipher was arrested and charged with her murder. Police say GPS data shows Cipher's car was at a gas station near a dumpster in Plover, where they later found a bag of evidence. Surveillance video confirms Cipher's car was there. Krista Cipher's body has not been found.
And we start with a strong northwesterly wind this morning. Across the area, we're looking at sustained winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour, but they are gusting higher at times. Temperatures will struggle with those winds and clouds today. We'll top only at 47 degrees this afternoon. Winds stay strong right through the afternoon hours.
There is a cool new art exhibit that instead of using watercolors or other kind of paints or maybe even clay, it uses plastic. The exhibit is happening inside the Chazen right behind me. Now the exhibit is called Plastic Entanglements. The director of the Chazen says not all of the pieces are made out of plastic, although many are, and they all make you think about how you use plastic in your everyday life. Now, this is also a free event for students. An environmental grant is helping bus students straight to the Chazen. You can check it out too through January 5th.
President Trump is tweeting this morning following last night's presidential debate, saying there is no way anyone on stage at the debate could become president. It was the largest debate in modern history with 12 leading candidates. They discussed how they'd solve problems like health care, income inequality, and opioid abuse, and each said they support the impeachment inquiry into the president.
Congressional Democrats are opting not to hold a full vote on an impeachment inquiry. Some of the president's allies have said that without one, the inquiry isn't valid, but House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says a vote is unnecessary because the Constitution doesn't require it.
Turkey's president is rejecting a call from the White House to end the fighting in northern Syria. Last week, the Turkish military launched an offensive against the region's Kurdish population shortly after President Trump ordered U.S. troops to withdraw from the area. Vice President Mike Pence is heading to Turkey today to try to convince them to agree to a ceasefire.
Today marks exactly 1 month since the General Motors strike began, but it might be nearing an end. The company's CEO was at the negotiating table yesterday, suggesting GM and the United Auto Workers are making progress. The union also called its local officers to Detroit this week, possibly to vote on a tentative agreement.
The father of a Sandy Hook victim will get $450,000 after he sued a local conspiracy theorist for emotional distress. Lenny Polzer, who lost his 6-year-old son Noah in the Sandy Hook massacre nearly 7 years ago, says James Fetzer's book, Nobody Died at Sandy Hook, has caused him to receive threats and is defamatory. Fetzer's attorneys say he did not intend to incite violence or to encourage anyone to threaten Posner.
Republicans at the state capitol are starting to push to limit the governor's veto powers with a hearing on a proposed constitutional amendment. It would stop Governor Evers from being able to issue partial vetoes to increase spending. Right now, the governor is able to strike words, numbers, and punctuation in spending bills.
1 in 4 undergraduate women at UW-Madison say they have been sexually assaulted. The numbers on the UW campus are higher than the national average of 1 in 5. The university says it is taking action by planning to add more staff positions to the Title IX program and university health services. University leaders are also inviting students and staff to give feedback at 3 forums that are happening in November.
Dane County Executive Joe Parisi is planning to buy more than 80 acres in northern Dane County as a way to mitigate flood damage. A resolution will go before the county board later this week to buy land from the Cook family in the town of Vienna. Parisi set aside $3 million in his 2020 budget for land purchases through creation of a flood risk reduction fund.
You have one last chance to see the Forward Madison team before the start of the off-season. The team is hosting a thank you party at Breese-Stevens Field at the Stadium Store from 5 to 8 tonight, and the players will make appearances between 6 and 7:30. In their first year in Madison, the Flamingos led the USL League One in attendance with more than 4,000 fans per game.
6:56 now. Let's turn it over to Jason Stone with a final look at your first alert traffic. Hi, Jason.
Hello. Regular crowding on the westbound Beltline has started near Stoughton Road and clearing before West Broadway. All other lanes are at the posted speed limit. No issues for commuters heading downtown on John Nolan. Only short lines at the Rimrock and Olin intersections. And a disabled vehicle is blocking the right turn lane from Aberg Avenue to Stoughton Road. Delays have occurred. With your first alert traffic, I'm Jason Stone.
Thanks, Jason.
I love his voice.
I do too.
What a voice, wow.
Makes traffic sound a little better, right? We have cloudy skies this morning. No issues looking at the Capitol, though. No fog in the area. It is very windy, though, across southern Wisconsin. Those winds are expected to continue through the day. High temperatures will only be around 47 degrees. Lots of clouds lingering today as well. Your extended forecast has temperatures climbing a little bit higher for the rest of the week. We're actually back to the 60s by Friday. Thursday and Friday look gorgeous with lots of sun and lighter winds.
That's going to feel like a reward.
It will.
Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching this morning.